The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
Such a large crowd gathered around Jesus that he got into a boat and began to teach them using many parables. Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is as if a man would scatter seed on the ground and would sleep and rise night and day, and the seed would sprout and grow without his knowing how. The earth produces of itself first the stalk, then the head, then the full grain in the head. But when the grain is ripe, at once he goes in with the sickle, because the harvest has come." Jesus also said, "With what can we compare the kingdom of God? Or what parable will we use for it? It is like a mustard seed, which when sown upon the ground is the smallest of all the seeds on earth. Yet when it is sown, it grows up and becomes the greatest of all shrubs, and puts forth large branches, so that the birds of the air can make nests in its shade." With many such parables, Jesus spoke the word to them as they were able to hear it. He did not speak to them except in parables, but he explained everything in private to his disciples. The Gospel of the Lord. Parables are unique to Jesus. No one before or since has used this teaching tool quite like Jesus did. Jesus is the master of this indirect form of communication. Every parable is characterized, first of all, by familiarity. We are drawn into the story precisely because it is taken from the world of everyday life. In the teaching of Jesus, this familiar everydayness is taken from first century rural and village life. The lost sheep, the sower of seeds, the woman who loses a coin, the son who goes astray, the man who uncovers a hidden treasure. Our ears wake up and listen because we recognize the storyline. We are hooked in, ready to be taught. And this is the first task of one who would be a disciple, a learner, an apprentice of Jesus. Readiness to be taught. But wait, the familiarity of the story suddenly shifts, and something happens in the parable that is unexpected. It's not supposed to happen that way. There is a reversal that shatters our everyday expectations. The waiting father, the shepherd who leaves the 99, the sower who wastes precious seed on shallow, untilled ground. Suddenly, the listener is thrown off course, thrown back on their inability to understand. awake now to their non-knowing, to the poverty of their understanding. Such is the kingdom of God, or in Matthew's gospel, the kingdom of heaven. Most of Jesus' parables begin with the phrase, the kingdom of God or the kingdom of heaven is like. The very structure of a parable is designed to open us up to the radical otherness and difference of the kingdom of God. Its astonishing, inbreaking newness. The surprise and suddenness of its appearing in our midst. The challenge of letting God make it happen. Your kingdom come, your will be done, we say in the Our Father. The other dimension of a parable is that it stimulates questioning and the hunger to understand. It awakens desire. Thrown back on our poverty, on our inability to grasp the meaning of the kingdom of God and the way it changes everything, we go to Jesus and ask him to explain, to uncover, to unveil to us the meaning of the parable, the meaning of the kingdom of God. Parables are for the crowds, the multitude, the anonymous herd. The meaning of the parables are for disciples, those who open themselves to the inbreaking, the upside-downness of the kingdom of God. Mercy without measure, superabundant harvests, exaggerated, disproportionate celebrations, the secret growth of grain, giant trees from the smallest and tiniest of seeds. And as for our two parables in today's gospel, you may have been wondering when I was going to get around to those. As for our two parables in today's gospel, how does all this help us to have ears to hear, insight into knowing what it is we are being taught? First of all, the sower who in forgetfulness and trusting abandonment just scatters the seed and as it says, without knowing how, finds it growing of itself into a great harvest. What is the reversal here? The lack of attention to fertilizing, cultivation, weeding, watering, guarding against, and all the other things that go into the eventual harvesting seeds. Scatter the word. Trust its growth. God will multiply. And the mustard seed, one of Jesus' most famous parables, the tiniest of all seeds, grown into a great tree. That is the reversal. Such is the kingdom of God. Tiny beginnings, giant results. Not a bush, unless a burning bush, but a great tree where the birds of the air can nest in its branches. Such is the kingdom. Explosive, hyperbolic growth, hospitality for the birds of the air and for all of us who are restless to find their rest in the kingdom. God's victory, both in our midst and on its way.